sometimes moments are the music, and sometimes music is the moment. It's like, oh, why am I kinky like this, brain? Because if we don't know why we're trying to run from something, can't really fix anything. It's just running in the fog or in the dark, and trauma happens to basically everyone. It's actually pretty common, and to have a quote unquote normal family is actually rather abnormal. Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. Sometimes our favorite music gets ripped away from us because someone that we loved or cherished or whatever have you seems to tear our heart apart, stomp on it, set it on fire, bury the ashes, dig up the ashes, dump it back in the ocean, and then just kind of drive away like nothing ever happened. And whenever that happens, we kind of sit there and just, don't want to think about it too much. A lot of the time it's just better to forget that piece of music and whatever. Whenever the song comes on the radio, just change the channel and you're fine. But at the same time, there's parts of you, or me at least, I'm speaking here for myself, that I'm like, man, I love that song. I loved parts of it, but there's just parts of songs that I'll hear and they elicit different memories. Sometimes the same memory, sometimes different versions or different progressions of that same memory. Sometimes different just emotion all the way around. And sometimes whenever it comes about, like it throws me into nostalgia a lot of the time, right? And that nostalgia can be good or bad. I try to make it good. I try to focus on like the good things and stuff. So a lot of times we sit there and we go to our happy songs for one to feel good, right? But a lot of the time, some of those happy songs were the ones that get tainted because of the relationship or whatever have you that happened. And now all of a sudden, that same music that was so dear and healing is now actually just toxic and gross. But at the same time, there may be a part of you that's like, man, I wish I could listen to it again like I used to. I want to get that part of me back. I want to feel that again without the bad stuff. And a lot of me was like, is that even possible? Like, I don't know if I can do that. It seems weird, and that's kind of the thing. This whole healing journey has been weird, and I never thought I'd be sober, and yet here I am. And I never thought I'd be alcohol free, and here I am, and blah, blah, so on and so forth. So I started trying to apply that principle to some of the music that I used to listen to. Now, some of these songs I was able to, readapt, if you will, be able to sit there and say, okay, I used this song in the past for this situation. I'm going to do it again. Some songs are tainted all the way through for me, and I'll never be able to really fix them, I think, because I chose to put that song with that emotion and whatever that emotion seems to elicit in the movie theater that is brain space. Now, whenever I'm sitting here and trying to use a song in such a manner, it can backfire, right? Because, like I said, want to feel happy, listen to that happy stuff, but if I associate it with a person and that person breaks my heart, then next thing I know, that song is going to be, crap, my heart got broke. That's right. I forgot about that. Ouch. There it goes again. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part of the memory. Damn it. Oh no, forgot about this. And that's just not a fun way to live, because we don't get to choose what's on the radio necessarily, unless it's that calling hour or what have you, certain radio stations, whatnot. And then we can't really sit there and tell the person driving the car, like, hey, I don't like this song because of this, can you change it? I mean, we totally could, but if you're the passenger, you don't really get a lot of choice in the matter, just saying. But the thing is, I think that it is possible to reclaim that music per se. I think it is possible to reclaim that feeling, maybe even that went with the song. Now, I think that there's different ways to do it. I think that there's no right way or wrong way. I think the wrong way actually would just be sitting there not trying to do anything with it and just be like, yeah, I'm listening to the song and it's not doing anything, and that's it. That's wrong. So anything else besides that should be in the right direction, at least. Now, whenever I think of some songs that I want to listen to again, I try to go back to like the first time I heard it, And sometimes it works. Sometimes I'm like, I can't remember the first time I heard it, but I can remember the first time I remembered hearing it during or doing something or what have you. Now, for instance, a lot of us may or may not know the song, what is it, All Star by Smash Mouth. Now, we may know that song from a certain movie, and we may not. And it really just kind of depends. But a lot of us may have heard that the first time in that movie. Now, was it for me? No. But I can tell you right now that that song has a lot of like childhood memories, but they seem to be really just kind of encapsulated by Shrek. And that's kind of the thing, right? Sometimes moments are the music, and sometimes music is the moment. And we have to really decipher how to distinguish the two, I think, between ourselves. And that's going to look a little bit different for everyone. Now, what I mean by that really is just kind of like, where do I see the music having really a play in the circumstances of what's going on? And that's the thing, right? Whenever we're watching a movie, the soundtrack is tailored to tell the story, to be an element that just adds so much more. Like, have you ever tried to watch certain movies without the background music or soundtrack, whatever? Oh, it's so much dead air. It's bad. But that's the thing, right? We get to choose music to elicit emotions, right? So to kind of get ready for this, I decided to watch a couple of YouTube episodes about music memory and stuff like that. And if you're like me, saying music memory just throws you back to UIL and listening to classical music like Beethoven and Mozart. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that kind of stuff. I've always been a little weird like that, liking classical, folk, stuff like that. And I like to say I'm pretty picky about my music, but at the same time, I don't know if I really am, because I kind of like a little bit of everything. So I don't know. I like to say I have good taste, but everyone likes to say that they have good taste. But the thing is that music speaks to our soul. It speaks to the part of us that maybe needs to hear something, maybe needs to feel a different way, or needs to get some movement going. Anyways, so whenever I was watching these music and memory kind of things, one of the things that they were talking about is that music, he said, is so precise that it escapes words, essentially. And I was like, whoa. Like, I was like, huh, you're right. Because I was always kind of under the impression that music was more vague, per se. So whenever he was sitting there talking about music being really precise and stuff, and being able to just pinpoint emotions, I was like, huh, yeah, because it's strange. There's sometimes listening to music gives us the chills. And what was interesting learning in that video was that that's the same part of the brain, the same region that actually is associated with fear. So if you're like me and you can get goosebumps and your hair stands on end whenever you listen to music, then your brain is saying, "Ooh, I'm afraid of this, but I like it." And it's kind of weird, right? It's like, "Oh, why am I kinky like this, brain?" And it's just music. Music does a lot to our brain stuff. And it was great listening to that, watching that episode, because it was interesting to have that person relate human music to the way we walk. And then also to say that music is moving. Whenever we look at a sheet of music, it is moving. So we think music is alive. And of course it is. Like, it's always been that way. If you want to know someone, ask them what their favorite song is. And if they're like me, it changes maybe day-to-day basis, or maybe week to week, month to month, who knows. But I think if you have the exact same song as your number one favorite all the time, it has to have an extremely good reason, and maybe it's a core principle of who you are. So that's kind of the thing, is that music can just shape us in such a way that we don't realize it. And it was cool because whenever he was talking about the walking aspect, he was talking about how blue whales sit there and they have a very flowy kind of talking, and then birds are very chirpy and they're very jerky with their movements and stuff, and so is the way that they sing. So it was cool because they showed us that whenever we sing, or whenever things are put to music, we kind of remember them better, like all the way through. So that's kind of why whenever I listen to certain music, I can be like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that embarrassing moment. Or be like, oh, ouch, I forgot they said that to me. And I was listening to that song. And just other things like that. But our brains just sit there and just latch on to music for some reason. It's really, really cool because that's how we learned our ABCs. We didn't learn A, B, C. If we learned that way, it would be a very different world, and I wouldn't want to be in it. I think it'd be super boring. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G it is, and we'll just continue to sing our way through learning different things, but that's kind of the thing, right? Whenever we're dealing with our singing, some of us like our voice, some of us don't, some of us are just like all over the place and just do it for the fun of it. And that's the thing, is that I'm one of those people that just do it for fun, but I also find that there's something healing in it, because if I were to sing or take part in a song that is troublesome to hear after a certain event, it kind of puts me in the moment of that music and puts me as not necessarily the master or composer per se, but it does give me a little bit of an edge to say, I'm actually part of this musical piece and I'm directing where my thoughts go with this feeling. Now, I know it sounds a little weird, it sounds a little woohoo, but a lot of the things, whenever it comes to mental health, actually are a little weird and woohoo, because guess what? It's all up in here. It's called mental health for a reason. We can't see it, but actually, guess what? I digress. So, whenever I'm talking about taking charge of that music, now it may be something like just tapping on your hips whenever the certain song comes on. Maybe it's snapping your fingers. Maybe it's singing parts of the song. Maybe it's just closing your eyes and reflecting back to different memories instead of the ones that come to the forefront of the mind. But I am here to kind of help you guide yourself through the challenging bits. Now, I'm speaking only from personal experiences here, and some of these songs, well, I'm not going to give you song examples, because songs that make me sad or for certain reasons, one way or another, may not make you sad. However, there is a sad type of song per se. There's a sad sound or a happy sound, and so on and so forth. But what we can do is sit here and say, let's just think about a song that you used to like, that we used to like, and through life, there's just been unforeseen circumstances happened that now left kind of a sour sound in our ear, right? And it's just kind of like nails on a chalkboard. Whenever we hear a piece of music that we used to like and it doesn't sound good anymore for whatever reason, one of the first things to do is like, I have control over it. I can hit next. You totally can. But if you want to really kind of reminisce in the song a little bit different this time, maybe try this out. So whenever you hear that song again, before you hit skip, just kind of sit there and relax yourself a little bit and ask yourself why exactly it is that you want to skip that song. Now, the answer may surprise you. You also may be of fucking course that's why I want to skip it. They broke up to me at this moment in the song or whatnot, or to this song. But that's the thing. We need to ask ourselves why. Because if we don't know why, we're trying to run from something, can't really fix anything. It's just running in the fog or in the dark, and whenever you don't really know where you're going and you're running, you get tired and stuff gets bad. So let's find a direction. Let's ask ourselves, what is it exactly that is making me be a little bit adverse to the song? Now, I'd say don't limit yourself to one response. Now, if you need to, if it's a really big one, by all means. But let's find that one thing that makes us go, yeah, I don't want to listen to that song because of this. Okay, cool. While that song is still playing, dissect it. Open it up. Find everything that you disliked about that situation, but don't sit there and dwell on it to the point of being like, oh, I would have done this, I would have changed this, I'm going to show them one day kind of thing. Don't do that. because that's the same kind of anger that happens whenever we have resentments, and resentments are how addictions and other really bad maladaptive behaviors kind of happen a lot of the time, and we don't really need that here whenever we're trying to heal. So what we can do instead is try to talk ourselves through the situation. Now, this is going to involve a little bit of like inner child work of sorts, kind of, sort of. But what I want us to do is, as we're listening to that song, as we're exploring why we don't want to listen to it, we need to kind of step beside ourselves and just kind of love ourselves through that moment again, you know? So there's two versions of you, right? Actually, there's three of you. There's three of you. So you got the one that is going through the shit. They are experiencing everything again for the first time, and it sucks. Then you got version number two. Number two is essentially that same version of you, but stepped out from it a little bit and kind of observing it, being like, oh man, this sucks. That version of you is the version of you that hears the song and goes, I don't like this song anymore. I want to change it. Now, this last version of you is the you, the conscious you, the person that is in charge. Now, you're going to sit there and you're going to just talk yourself through essentially accepting the shit that happened. Now, I don't have to say everything's going to be hunky-dory okay because you accept it. What I'm saying is that as we accept certain things, they have less power over us. If I suddenly lost my hand, if I freaked out every time I looked down at my hand, it'd be kind of shitty. It'd be like, just like, what do I do, you know? But if I were to accept that I don't have it anymore for whatever reason, then I can go about doing something about it. Same kind of thing whenever it comes to our emotions, whenever it comes to trauma. And that was the next video I actually watched. And it was How the Body Keeps the Score of Trauma by the guy that wrote the book, How the Body Keeps the Score. The guy was sitting there saying that trauma happens to basically everyone. It's actually pretty common, and to have a quote-unquote normal family is actually rather abnormal. So I was like, interesting. So we can sit here and also use that knowledge to kind of say like, hey, other people may have had certain situations happen to this. But I want us to really just kind of sit there and say, like, it's okay that this happened now. It wasn't okay then. It still may be not okay in some regards, but I'm still alive. I'm still kicking, and that's the important part. I want to enjoy this song again like I used to before the shit happened, but I want to listen to it again with gratitude about the things that happened, because now I'm stronger because of it. And I hate that saying, trust me, anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. No, it doesn't. It actually makes you weaker and kind of makes me want to die. You know, it's like, ugh, why am I here? Fuck this. But with work, with actual like persistence, healing happens, and that's what makes things stronger. Now, it's going to look different. It's not going to be the exact same. Anything that gets broken, put back together, always looks a little different. It can look almost exactly the same, but we always know if we fix something that it used to be broke deep down. That's how we kind of are on the outside, you know? It's like, yeah, doing fine, doing great. And a lot of people don't ever realize that you're actually fucking like shattered on the inside and you're still somehow smiling. And a lot of people that are that way can see it on others. But I think we can all kind of sit there and have that same feeling with music. There's a song out there that you may have really enjoyed at one point in your life, and now it just doesn't sound good. So I think that we can take control of our lives and feel a little bit better and heal ourselves a little bit as we hold ourselves through that music that got tainted, through that music that used to be the healing factor, and now it's a toxic trait. If you want to fix it, then it's totally doable. I believe it is because I've done it. There's still some songs that hit a little bit different, but sometimes I want to leave those alone because maybe they remind me that I'm human. Maybe it reminds me of my why, you know? I'm not sitting there saying, hold on to your pain, but I'm saying, don't forget it. Sit there and like remember it unpack it, learn from it, everything that you can from the pain, because it's there to teach you a lesson. That's all pain really is there for. It's to teach us something, either about ourselves, other people, or how we interact with other people. So music sits there and it ties us all together, whether we like it or not. You may not like a piece of music, but it speaks to someone else's soul. And you may love a piece of music, and that same other person may absolutely hate that piece. Or and then y'all might actually find a song that y'all both really love for some weird reason. And then you get into a story about how they like that song that you hate because of this experience, and vice versa. And it can just be so cool to see what music can do for a community, for people, for relationships, for ourselves. One of the things that I also learned, they were like, so your music taste is really developed between 15 and 30. And I was like, ew, thick. A lot of people are probably in the same boat. Like, well, all right, whatever. At least the grocery stores are going to start sounding a little better, I guess. But I digress. Really, though, it is one of those things that makes it where I think we can still grow if we expand our musical horizons. Because for me, I'll definitely do my Spotify playlists and whatnot. There's some songs that I know off the back of my hand and everything, you know. Some playlists I know like that too. And then there's still moments where it's like, nothing I know is like hitting that itch. Nothing's really hitting it. I don't know what it is. And then like just hit a different song and go to that song's radio, and the new music comes on and it's like, that feels better. It's kind of weird. Like music has a very therapeutic like place in my life, and I think that it can be utilized like that for other people as well. But that's kind of the thing, is that I think we kind of made ourselves slaves to the music in some regard, because if we're not a composer, if we're not an artist ourselves, we sit there and we just tend to kind of consume it and not really do much with it, right? It just is kind of like that background noise, the soundtrack to our life. And that's kind of the thing. Like some people get creative with their playlists. Some people have a skateboarding playlist. Some people have a doing the dishes playlist. Some people have a swim at the beach playlist. Some people just have personalized playlists for different things to elicit different emotions, to get that energy moving, to get that motion inside of them, to kind of feel alive again, to drive themselves, to feel a certain emotion, to let that emotional dam release. Music does a lot of different things for us, and I think if we avoid the music that we used to love, we're falling to the slave aspect of music. Now, I'm not saying all music is bad, but I'm saying listen to the lyrics that you're saying and like actually ask yourself, do you want that? And do you want that for others? If not, then well, whatever. And then there's sometimes where it's like the lyrics are just there for fun. But that's the kind of thing, is that who knows? It's what you choose to do with the music that really, well, moves you. And only you can do something about that. So I just want to remind you that if you're having a hard time, there's always someone out there to, well, just listen, to help. And I know it can be hard, but you can pick up the phone. You can call someone that you love and maybe text them if they're someone that doesn't like random calls, and just like check, make sure it's okay to call, and like just find someone to let open to, just to vent. A lot of us want to vent. All we want to do is be heard, be understood, not necessarily have everything figured out for us. A lot of us want to kind of figure out the journey on ourselves, like all on ourselves, by ourselves. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we just need someone to say like, hey, like in this crazy ass world, I see you. I'm here for you. I may not be able to help you. I may not be able to fix things. I may not be able to do anything really, but I can at least let you know you're not alone in the dark. You're not alone in the light. You're not alone in this crowded room of people. There's someone out there for you, just to be a friend, whatever it is, a shoulder to lean on, ears to listen, eyes to see. Someone's out there to understand you. Music is that person for a lot of people, so don't let it keep you down either. I had some dark nights of the soul myself. That's not for this episode, but I can say that I've been using music to help pull me through it and kind of rebuild myself, make myself a little bit better, and hopefully just a little bit more free to myself. So with that being said, we're going to leave this episode here. I hope you can reclaim yourself in some music that you used to love, even if it's been tainted a little bit for whatever reason. And we will see you sometime in the future. Thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity. This has been me, Keegan, on Retrieving Sanity. Oh, wait, gotta love yourself. Try to love others if you can, but you gotta love yourself first. And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. Much love. Stan.